prison system is under his jurisdiction.
That's correct.
And he's a Democrat.
He's a Democrat. He's pretty good. He's a pretty good governor. But
he's a pretty good governor, but they need to do something about that.
That's
and for all of us that believe in law and order, that doesn't mean that you treat the prisoners like they're not human. They deserve, because then they won't want to rehabilitate.
That's right.
They may become angry and angry and angrier. That's right. And this has been our show. Go out and be a blessing. God bless you. We'll holler at you on the other side if the Lord say the same. If he does not, and it's your last day on earth, we hope that when you see the Master, he says, servant, well done. Because the life you live, work you've done, the people you've asked for forgiveness when they trespassed against you or them. Also, I'm going to ask the Lord to heal my body because I got a bad cold. I had a flu, now I got a cold. I'm going to get myself together. I'm trying to get sleep, trying to eat better, Lord, trying to exercise. I'm trying to do my part, and I'm asking the Lord to heal me. And I know that he can. This is Showdown with Radio 330 affiliates strong, asking for prayers for anybody who's sick, who's cold, who's hungry, who is in need. Let's pray and then let's work. People, let's be easy. And now it's time for our spiritual nourishment from the pastor.
Hey family, how are you? This is the Bishop. This is your year of an open heaven and an open season. Your year started with you pressing in, and God is ready to bless you even more this year than any other year. There's a story in the Bible about the children of Israel crossing the Red Sea. And that sea is symbolic of everything that has held you down with struggle, that has caused you to feel like you're drowning, whether it's your debt, relationships, finances, whatever it may be. God is saying, I'm opening up the windows of heaven, just like I've opened up the seas, so that you can walk through on dry ground, and whatever it is that you're asking for, I'll be able to give it to you. God wants you to know that he's got you in the palm of his hand. And so you don't have to worry nor be afraid nor fret. God is saying this is the season where your heaven is open. So all you got to do now is ask. The Bible says, if you ask in my name, I'll give it to you. When was the last time you asked in his name? He's ready and he's waiting to give you whatever your desires are of your heart. Listen, I pray that God strengthens, he perfects, he establishes you, he settles you as you walk into your new season. Have a wonderful weekend and God bless you.
Whoa.
The moment my son saw a redwood tree.
It's huge!
Is the moment I knew that for him,
you can't even see the top of that thing.
Even the sky has no limit.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. Your moment is out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Join the Just a Bit Outside crew every Monday, 8 to 10 p.m. on BeExposedRadio.com.
You want to start off?
I think I'll get it out of the way on a who's not.
Okay, do it.
The Orioles.
Right.
They got swept by the Royals. They lost 4 in a row, and the last 5 games have all been decided by 1 run. The game before, or the last game that they lost before the Royals was the Nationals, and it was Weeders, of course, one with a home run, drove
hit the home run.
Right.
They were going into that national series. It seemed like they were doing so well, and they just crapped out. They got that game postponed, so who knows when they're going to replay that or play that game. That's my first not for the night.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and weigh in on my who's not, and I'm going to talk about the San Diego Padres.
The Padres. That's okay. You just took my answer.
They're in last place in the NL West. They've lost 8 of their last 10. Their run differential is a negative 65, which is just horrible. So when you have, well, let me just talk about run differential a little bit. It's kind of like the
how much you're winning or losing your games by, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. It's like the margin of victory, kind of.
Right.
So when you're in a negative number, that means that you're.
Then your average game you're losing
by a whole lot.
Right.
I mean, a number like negative 65, this early into the season is pretty rough.
That's horrible.
Then the pitching numbers pretty much support this stat right here. I mean, the team ERA is 4.70, which is 26th in the league. They have 126 walks allowed. They acquired.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
What's up, family? Welcome to the Black Bottom Man Radio Show. Hope everyone is enjoying their President's Day. A lot of people are off today, but we are here, so tune in with us. We're going to have a good show. So I want to welcome my audience, and as usual, I'm here with my co-host, the lovely Miss Janice.
Hey, everybody.
How you doing today, Miss Janice?
Good. What about yourself?
I'm not bad. I'm not bad. It's President's Day. Yes. Not really sure what that means, but hey, I'll take it. So we're going to send out some invites, and meanwhile, how was your weekend?
Good. Pretty good.
Pretty good?
I can't complain.
Anything uneventful?
Uneventful? No. Eventful? No.
No? Just a normal weekend?
Just a normal weekend.
Okay, same with mine. I've been a little under the weather. I think everybody's been a little under the weather. I don't know if they sprayed something in the air and got us sick or what they doing to us.
It's all I can say is it's a lot of people under the weather.
It's a lot of people under the weather. What's that all about?
Go figure.
Go figure. So, today's show is going to be part 2 of the last show we did. We did miss a show because of the weather. I'm sure everybody understands that. We had a little weather situation. So today we're going to be doing part 2 since it's Black History Month. We're still celebrating. So this is Dr. Anderson's latest book. It's called A Black History Reader, 101 Questions You Never Thought to Ask. So we had a pretty good response on the first show. We pulled a few questions out of here. So we're going to go over a few more today. But before we even get into that, current events. What we got going on? Like I don't know.
All I can say is there's a whole lot going on right now in current events. Good and bad.
Good and bad.
But remember when the month started, you know, I committed to only good things.
Right, we're trying to bring only positive current events for February.
I think I have one more week because this week.
Been challenging, huh?
Yes, because this week I'm just like, oh gosh, there's so many things to report. But you know, if anybody else have anything that they want to speak about in current events, feel free.
Oh, okay.
Such as yourself.
Thank you very much.
If you have something to bring up, feel free.
Okay.
It's just me. I'm committed to the positive.
Gotcha.
You can bring up whatever.
Word.
All right. So, keeping in line with my positive, Black Doctor launched his first annual Heart to Heart red carpet affair for National Heart Awareness Month.
Okay.
Now,
nice.
We had the opportunity of speaking with Dr. Yolanda Lewis at the All Black Everything event.
I remember her.
So we had an opportunity to speak to her for a while. And I believe she talked about this event that she was going to have coming up.
She did. I remember that.
In February. And she told us a lot of good things. But anyway, it's this Friday, February 22nd. From 6 to 9 p.m. 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. She will speak on creative health education and heart healthy cuisines.
Okay.
And I think that's what she was talking about at the event that day as well. But the event will provide free health education, screenings, and address health disparities within our communities. The event will be held at the Arc in Washington, D.C.
Okay, yeah, we've been to the Arc. We did an event at the Arc. Absolutely.
So, I know most of what I got to speak to her about was women's health. And, you know, I didn't know that women was like the #1. We're like, I mean, African women is #1 with the heart disease.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
It all deals with our eating habits.
That's a little scary.
It is. That is a little scary. That is.
No,
did it wake you up a little bit? Make you like, hold up?
I left there shaking. By the time she finished speaking, I was just like, it scared me to death. I was just tough. I'm just scared to death.
Well, I think that's good. I think it's good to have it scare you because that's going to make you take it more seriously and make you look further into it. You know what I mean? Get more education on it.
And I felt like I took took it seriously already. But upon talking to her, I found out
maybe not so much.
I could be doing a whole lot better.
Could be doing better.
A whole lot better. So, I know a lot of times we thinking, you know, we get to the gym and that's good enough, and it's, you know, and it's not. So.
No, absolutely it's not. The gym only represents 20% of your health.
So even with, there's still a lot of people who believe, you know, there's a lot of people who think they're in good shape.
Absolutely.
You know, because of the gym. A lot of people work out, and a lot of people think that they are eating right because they don't eat certain things. You know what I mean? So it's a lot.
It's a lot of misconception.
Yeah, it is. So I suggest everybody, you know, just try to do a little bit more homework, especially if you're trying to eat right and really get your health right. Just do a little bit more research.
If you want to live.
And get some more information on it. Because
do you want to live? You want to stay alive? You want to be healthy? You know, like there is a certain level of responsibility that is built into us that we may not always pay attention to. You know, but like when you get sick and you get taken off your feet, that's when we tend to think about all the people that depend on us. Our children, you know, paying the bills. You might have elders that live with you, and now you've been taken off your feet. So now the real trouble is about to begin.
So that was good you brought that up. So it's good, you know, if you think about all of that right now, before anything could happen, and, you know, get yourself healthy now. That way you don't have to worry about any of that. But moving on.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely a serious concern. Something I don't think enough attention is put on, enough focus is put on. Because remember, we've done shows, you know, as black people, we lead in diseases. You know, the #1 cause of death for black people, of course, is homicide. We're aware of that. But as far as health-wise, black people die from the same things. You know, like every time someone tells me someone black died, I already know what it was from.
Right.
Heart attack, cardiovascular disease, kidney disease, diabetes, things of that nature. And the secret to it all, which I've explained multiple times on the show, and I'm going to say it again, the people in the medical community are not your friend like you think they are. They're in place to make money. It's not to say that the individuals don't have the right heart and wish to heal you. It's about the training that they come from. So they like to tell black people that it's hereditary. You have high blood pressure because it's hereditary, you know, and it's not true. You know, what is hereditary in us is our eating habits. Right. So you don't have a heart attack because your great uncle had one or your grandmother had high blood pressure. You have the same thing because the eating habits have been passed down that are identical. And that's the part they're not going to tell us. Right. Because the medical community only treats your symptoms. They do not tell you how not to get sick. And that's the part we got to grasp. We got to dig further into it, educate ourselves on us, and save ourselves.
Well, I want to live.
That's right. Me too. I want to be healthy. I'm under the weather right now, and I can't stand it.
So, North Carolina, A&T State University track star breaks world record. Kayla White ran the world fastest 200 meters.
Oh, shucks. How old is she?
I don't know. I just know she's a senior at North Carolina.
Okay, so she's a teenager.
So
already breaking records.
I have to say she's maybe 19, 20.
Okay. Nice. That's that black girl magic.
Yeah, Kayla competed against some of the best track stars in the country. She finished off with a 22.82 sprint, which ranked her #1 in the world, the country, and her school's conference, which is the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference.
Bravo, Kayla. Bravo.
Kayla. So
getting it done. Man, that black girl magic is something special.
That is serious.
That's real serious.
I think she said in the beginning she wasn't even interested in track. She was interested in dance. Okay. So I think her coach, one of the coaches, suggested she do track, and now she said
she went out there and blew the doors off of them.
Now she said she loved it. So congratulations to Kayla.
Right.
So that's great.
That is wonderful.
All right, so the month of February, Lyft is providing free rides up to $10 during the month.
Really?
Because they believe in recognizing, celebrating, and supporting the contributions of incredible black women and men throughout history and within our communities. They are offering free rides up to $10 to like black history museums, memorials, and black-owned businesses throughout various communities.
Okay.
These rides are being offered in over like 30 cities. So yes, Baltimore is one.
Baltimore's one? Nice.
So free rides.
Free rides, everybody, month of February.
So,
free hat.
Well, it's like, you know, it's to some place of black culture. So
okay.
You can't just get in there and go to...
Can't just get a ride home from the club?
No. Unless your home is next door to a black business, then you might can get away with it.
Okay, I got you.
So other than that, no. Congresswoman Maxine Waters.
That's my girl.
She's going to be honored with the prestigious NAACP Chairman's Award.
All right, go Maxine.
Maxine had 43 years of public service. She has stood the test of time in her refusal to stand idle in the face of the relentless assaults on the humanity of African Americans and people of color.
Right.
She will be presented the award on March 30th at the 50th NAACP Image Award.
That's why I said Maxine's my girl. You know, like one of the things, Maxine's done a lot. You know what I mean? It's a lot of things I could say in regards to her. But one of the things that I like that she said is when she announced to us, like as black people, she said, you better be angry. You better be mad. You better be upset. Now, I think the reason why she said that is because, you know, it's been that stigma placed on us where as a community of people, we're almost scared to show that we're upset about, say, for instance, racism that, you know, white people bring against us.
Right.
And that's what she was speaking on. And she's like, no, to hell with that. You better be upset because what they're doing to you should upset you. You know what I mean? And I thought that was bigger for her to say that because it's such a taboo. Like nobody wants to look like the angry black person.
Right.
And Maxine's like, no, to hell with that.
Right.
You know, you got a right to be angry,
She
you
said
know.
we can be angry.
Look, yeah, like look what they doing.
Thank you, Maxine.
Thank you, Maxine. Maxine said you better get upset. It's time to get upset. So go Maxine. What else we got going on?
I left a slot open for you.
Oh, okay. All right. Current events.
I felt like you maybe had one or something.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Gucci. Well, Gucci. What can I say about Gucci? One, I don't support Gucci. Never have. Two, I think we need to use it as a continued wake-up call. You know, number three, this is more reason why you should go to blackbydemand.com and get you some Black by Demand apparel, something you can be proud of. Yes, we don't get the world recognition of Gucci, but we don't need to, because what we're doing has a bigger cause, right? Right, Nate? You know, but we don't need to. So it's more reason to go to blackbydemand.com. But all that's happening is these people are just showing their true colors.
But is any of these franchises getting the message though? Because you got one after another continually with some type of stunt.
Absolutely. They know exactly what they're doing. You know, like I've had black people say to me before, you know, maybe we need to have conversations with these companies to make them understand the offensive things that they're doing. And I say this time and time again, stop thinking that white people don't know when they're being racist. They do, okay? They do it on purpose. It's nothing to talk about. Stop supporting them. That's it. Gucci, Prada, whoever.
But do you believe that's enough? When we say protest, when we say boycott, like when T.I. and Soulja Boy, they're calling for a boycott now with Gucci. Do you believe that's enough?
I think it's a start. Unfortunately, even when celebrities like T.I. do this, it's so many of us that are stuck in a certain state of mind. We're not going to do it. You know, Michael Kors was quoted for saying how he hates that black women buy his clothes and his purses and stuff their weaves in it and so forth and so on. Very racist statement. But black women went and bought even more. You know, so this is where the problem's coming in. We don't know how to just stick to a movement, even if it's just for a period of time. You know, but you're going to always have the black people like Floyd Mayweather talking crazy. That old slave, you know, Sambo, you know, mentality. You know, like I'm an individual. I buy whatever I want. It's about a cause. It's about making these people recognize you have to at least respect us on a level where you play the game. When they do things like blackface and all that, they're showing you we're not even willing to play the game with you guys. We're showing you what we think of you. You know, and either way, it's more publicity for Gucci.
Right, sure. But I mean, I feel like, my personal opinion, I would have to take it a step further. We boycott Gucci, I would have to put Louis in there.
Yeah.
Michael Kors.
Sure.
Calvin.
Right.
Anybody that's affiliated along those lines, all would have to go into the boycott.
Right.
And let all of them go address Gucci, because we'll let them know you got Gucci to thank for it.
Right. See, I don't even believe in having conversations with these people. I don't want to sit down with Gucci, Prada, none of them, because these are grown folks. Well, I don't want to sit down and listen to your rhyme and reason for why you did what you did, and you're going to sit here and act like you wasn't aware of how offensive it could be to people. It's all games. I would say we don't need to talk about nothing. We're simply not buying your products anymore. It's as simple as that. There's nothing to discuss.
Because, like you said, I don't think nobody's I know Gucci isn't bothered by it.
No.
They're not bothered by no, like you said, everybody's not going to stop. Since I've heard about Gucci, I think watching TV, you probably see more celebs and more reality shows with people promoting Gucci right now than ever.
See, that's what I'm saying. You know, like it's an ignorance that runs through us, you know, where we just don't stand on certain things. But we're going to continue this conversation. Stay with us. Black by the Man radio show. We talking current events. We'll be back.
First they love you, then desert you, leave with a plate full with no spoon. Ain't no space, I can't escape negativity. I got used to the taste of it, bad, burned and fucked over. But remain strong through the Passover. Kicking haters out of the way like masked over. Roll up, sip something, let it pass over. Who would I be? It ain't the man to me that let the next man take advantage of me. When that storm come, no pan I see. Get with it, not without it, then you'll see. I peep the haters, they know I'm greater. That's why they buzzing for the elevator. But I can't save you, little be too loud on the pedal stool. Don't carry favors, always got your hand out demanding favors. When I just looked out, now you need more paper. I can't breathe, give me 3 feet. I never let y'all be the death of me. When my patience run there, yeah, nigga OT, cause they wanna see me bound like a man
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Now listen to BeExposedRadio.com. Check out this fire flashback.
We need to relearn what it is to be these bosses and how we conduct ourselves as business-minded individuals and just people in general. I let my gut, and if I call it gut or God or whatever, I'm led by that energy. I know where it comes from. I know where it's, taking me, and you have to figure out what is important to you, and don't play this game. It's a game that we've learned to play, this chess game, and life is not a chess game. Life is real, bones, flesh, blood, decisions.
Make sure you check out the Artist Exchange Show every Monday and Friday at 2 p.m. only on BeExposedRadio.com.
Whatever happened to the times when we cared for one another? We shared the same respect. What is happening? We're trading what's important for shiny things. I can't allow this blasphemy. It's blasphemy. Why would you treat yourself like that? We didn't come this far just to fall right back. Don't lose yourself, stay on track.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Part of the Italian flag. So welcome back, everybody, to the Black Bottom Man Radio Show. If you missed our intro, today we're going over part 2 for Black History Month of Dr. Anderson's Black History Reader, 101 questions you never thought to ask. But we're currently still doing current events, and we were discussing Gucci. Read a comment here. Miss D. Brown says, don't need to waste your time talking to anyone that knows what they're doing. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. I've noticed that when these people do things, we always decide, well, we need to have a sit down with them. No, we don't. These people are adults. They know what they're doing. They know what they did. All you have to do is stop buying their products. That's the solution. See, we want to have conversations with them because subconsciously we don't want to stop buying their stuff. That's why we want to negotiate with them. That's why we want them to apologize. If I'm done with you, I don't need you to apologize. I don't need to have a discussion with you. You did what you did. We're not buying your products no more. We keep it moving, keep it moving. And you made a comment about how they're all doing it now. Gucci, Prada, whoever. See, they all share the same belief system. And to me, that's just something we as black people still have refused to accept. There is a percentage of white people that hate you, right? It's a large percentage. And it's especially deeper the higher you go up with them pockets, right? The deeper these people's pockets are, usually the more hatred they have for black people. But they never come out with that hatred until after they've made billions of dollars off of us. And then once they've gotten enough off of us where they don't care what type of hurt we can issue them if we stop supporting them. See, then they start coming out with their true feelings of how they really feel. Damon John made a point, that's the creator of FUBU and off the Shark Tank. He made a point to mention, he said, Gucci's been around for a long time. They're a very intelligent company. Right. He said when they do moves like this, it's to bring them more attention. He said, see how you're sitting here interviewing me about Gucci? And the interviewer was like, I guess you got a point. He said, exactly. It's keeping them relevant. So it's part racism and them getting a chance to air out what they really feel. And then the double part is more publicity. There's no such thing as bad publicity. Right now, Gucci is on everybody's lips. Right. That's exactly what they want. And in all reality, we just need to stop supporting brands that act like that. I just think as black people, we got to get tougher. We got to get tougher. We still being soft with people who being tough with us, right? Get tough, stop buying their products. But I know that's a task because a lot of us have different mindsets. Right. I see it as ignorance, like Floyd Mayweather. Other people may see it a different way. So we're going to always have those percentage of black people that's going to say, well, I'm still buying Gucci. I'm still buying Michael Kors. Right. Right? Okay. So I'm going to tie this into something I mentioned on another show about us taking accountability for our people. Okay, so when we have people like Floyd who step forward and show that they do not support us, we need to stop supporting his ass because that young brother has forgotten you became a multimillionaire because black people bought the tickets to your fights. And now you got the nerve to part your black mouth and say, I ain't got nothing to do with that. after you too made millions of dollars off of us. See, that's how we give accountability. We need to stop supporting them people. So any brother or sister that come forward and they don't either keep their mouth shut on the issue or show support for us, we need to stop supporting them. Okay, we'll put you in the same bucket as Gucci, because you ain't no good to us. It's a lot of black people with money that are of no good to us, because they have a certain European mindset. Them people just black in color. But don't get me to airing out today. Just black in color. They ain't on your team. That's the same brothers who set Malcolm X up. Same brothers who set Martin Luther King up. You get what I'm saying? They still exist. They out here. They out here. That's how they stay in their position. What else we got going on?
That's it.
That's it. All right. So we'll get into the show now. Whew, sorry about that, yo. I get a little pumped up with these clowns, these Sambos. You know what I mean? I'd like to send them all a pair of tap dance shoes and a top hat. Why don't you go on out there and do it the right way for them, man? Go on out there and sing Mammy. Mammy, Mammy, Mammy. It's ridiculous. But anyway, let me break it down. All right, so we're going to talk about Dr. Anderson's Black History Reader. 101 questions you never thought to ask. This is real history. This is real black history. Of course, with the Black Bottom Man radio show, we try to set ourselves apart. So it's easy for us to bring you, great inventions by black people, things of that nature. All wonderful. But we try to bring you some information that you haven't heard before.
Right.
So up to the plate first is this question. What was meritorious manumission, and does it still apply to blacks? Now, that was a term I wasn't familiar with. Meritorious manumission. Have you ever heard that before?
No.
Me either. Let's get into it. Meritorious manumission was the legal act of freeing a slave forged deeds as defined by the national public policy. The term meritorious means something earned. Manumission means becoming free of freedom. During slavery, a slaveholder could grant freedom to a slave who distinguished himself by saving the life of a white person, inventing or designing something that enriched a white person, or snitched on other members of his race, especially those blacks who were resisting and contemplating a revolt. Meritorious manumission policies were not intended to unify slaves or make them more self-supportive humans. Instead, the policies were designed to keep blacks non-threatening and under control. Meritorious manumission became a public policy in the early 1700s and was introduced into the Virginia legislature as a law in 1710. Incorporated into every aspect of the slavery system, it remained an active carrot and incentive through the social process, and is still an operating principle at this present time during this very day. Meritorious manumission recognized and rewarded blacks who accepted their assigned position, but for their personal gain would thwart or openly, nefariously, the efforts by other blacks to alter the racial status quo. The first person known to have received meritorious manumission set the baseline for benefits. Peter M. Bergman, in his book, The Chronicle History of the Negro, said, and I quote, "The first person to receive meritorious manumission was a Negro named Will, who was recognized for having impeded a slave revolt in the South Carolina colony. He was aware his freedom was for performing a public service. Will's freedom papers provided that he enjoy and have all the liberties, privileges, and immunities, or to be of a free Negro. Once the public policy was in place and endless numbers of slaves became sensitive to freedom opportunities that they could earn. In 150 years between 1710 and 1860, black slaves reportedly revealed the plans of over 300 possible slave revolts or insurrections. Slaves warned slaveholders or the general public of the pending revolts in hopes of receiving manumission in the forms of personal recognition and material benefits." All right. So here we go.
So you said that still exists today?
Still exists to this day. So in layman's terms, Dr. Anderson is saying meritorious manumission was when you as a black person were willing to sacrifice your people, your position with your people, in order to do something that was beneficial for whites. And in return, they gave you certain freedoms, certain privileges. Now, the reason why he says it still happens today, because these are what we call some, not all, black conservatives. You know, people who get positions high within public office, and in exchange, they're really not going to do nothing for black people. But what they get is personal gain. So they get the money, they get the endorsement, they get the checks, even though they're really not doing anything for black people. So he said this is what's called meritorious manumission. I mean, that's pretty much what Floyd is doing. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's not going to stand tall with us because he's willing to go against us, so he continues to get his rewards. So we have a lot of us that still do this to this day.
Which it makes total sense.
Right. I'll read a little bit more. Meritorious manumission behavior is often observed, especially in the ranks of black elected officials, ministers, civil rights leaders, athletes, and entertainment personalities. These visible people, anointed by other leading blacks, are sometimes aloof and disconnected from their own race. They are often required to disavow and abandon their own people in exchange for public attention, financial resources, and personal comfort. Once co-opted by the power structure, they are effective tools to be used against and to control other black masses. The divide and conquer scheme makes a black minority even weaker and more exploitable. Blacks seeking meritorious manumission, for instance, will endorse political candidates knowing they will never deliver anything to black people. They will support integration with any group before seeking to strengthen their own people. Worst of all, those seeking modern day meritorious manumission believe that the advancement of their own race is wholly dependent on the advancement of the white race and all other peoples of the world. It's absolutely disgusting.
It really is. So you saying so all of these, this it's crazy because a lot of these people that go, you know, into it, they know this.
Absolutely.
They're still willingly.
These are terms they're familiar with. They're trained in how to be these kind of people. Now, you and I, our audience, what I call regular folks, we regular folks, we ain't never heard of this a day in our life. But we see it.
We see it.
We see it. We just don't know what it's called.
I was going to say, we never knew what it was.
Never knew what it was, never knew the exacts behind it. I'll read another piece here. He says, meritorious manumission opportunities today are typically presented as symbols and incentives for satisfying race relations, such as being asked to support public policies that subordinate the interests of Native Black Americans to invest in women or immigrants or other fabricated minorities. Most black civil rights leaders and elected officials that allow these groups to be equated to and ranked over blacks are seeking their meritorious manumission. So this is what it's all about. For us, we just saw that it was personal gain. We know people do certain things for personal gain. Miss D. Brown says Kanye West. Absolutely. You get what I'm saying? See how Kanye was willing to say some dumb shit against us. Slavery was a choice, right? In order for him to get rewarded. Next thing you know, he's on the Trump team. You know what I mean? He's getting all this press. He's getting all this attention. It's meritorious manumission. When you're willing to say, hey, I'm going to do something in the benefit of white people in order for them white people to recognize me and make me into who I want to be.
Yeah, Ben Carson.
Ben Carson, exactly. We can think of a list of people.
Yeah, that's
so that's what this is. This is meritorious manumission. Anyone in the audience, if you are familiar with meritorious manumission, please type in and let us know what you think, because this is pretty new to us, but it's like it's one of those things. We knew it, we just didn't have the official term for it.
I'm just happy he put it in the book.
Dr. Anderson's the truth. The whole truth and nothing but.
Especially when he say it still exists.
He says it still exists, and it was public policy.
Still exist? If we don't have slaves anymore, what would we need this for?
But we do have slaves.
Right. It's obvious.
You know, when I look at Floyd Mayweather, I think of the quote where people say, some people are so poor that all they have is money. That's Floyd Mayweather. You're not rich, dog. You know what I mean? You're not rich. You're very poor. All you got is money. That's it. You're not rich. You're not rich because you don't have the things you should have as a black person. As black people, most of us don't have money, but we are still filthy rich because we have spirit, we have soul, we have integrity. It's people like him that are really the poor people. He's poor. He's very, very poor. Miss D. Brown, this book is called A Black History Reader. It's written by Dr. Claude Anderson, 101 Questions You Never Thought to Ask. Very, very good book. I employ people to check that book out. Again, I don't get paid to advertise these books. It's not what it's about for me. It's about educating our people and having these elders get their recognition with this great knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that they're trying to pass on to us. And the media is making sure we don't get it because they don't highlight them. You get what I'm saying?
So what exactly is that again? So that's just something they wrote into what?
It's a policy. They literally started it in slavery. If you could do something positive for white people, for instance, save a white person's life, you could get meritorious manumission. If you notice, he said the one particular slave, he basically went back and told about all the slave revolts that were coming. So he's with the slaves saying, you know, Friday night we're going to revolt, we got the guns, blah, blah, blah. And then he went back and told, you know, so he could get a higher position amongst them, get his free papers. So you could get everything from benefits as a slave all the way up to your papers saying you were free, depending on what type of meritorious manumission you did. So once the word got out that the first slave gained his freedom by doing something for white people, saving a white person's life, telling the white people that the slave's going to revolt on Saturday. Once the other slaves saw that, it gave them the drive to want to do that themselves. Like, I can get my freedom. All I got to do is sacrifice these dudes. Come here, master, let me tell you what they doing. And it's a percentage of us that still like that to this day. And to me, Floyd Mayweather is a good example of it. Kanye West is a good example of it. And in the words of Dr. Anderson, a lot of these so-called black leaders, you know, like we've had so-called black leaders for a while now. But what has really happened? What have they really done? Exactly. You know, what have they really done? So yeah, they literally made this public policy, literally. And even though, like I said, it's something that we're not completely aware of as far as the actual title, but it's like we are aware of it. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
All right, let's talk about Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey just said some things to Monique on his show. Meritorious manumission. What did he say? We black out here. We can't just be out here doing whatever we want. Meritorious manumission. Now the thing is, I'm gonna play the devil's advocate here, right? I'm not even going to say that he couldn't have reserved that opinion, but even if he really felt that way, that should have been a private one-on-one conversation with Monique. If you're going to bring her onto your show, let her come and tell her story. He brought her onto the show to scold her. He even waved his finger in her face, right? Meritorious manumission. Meritorious manumission. Steve Harvey sealed his position by defending them white people and saying, we black out here. You can't just do whatever you want. It's a better way to do it, you know, so forth and so on, you know. And I felt bad for the sister, you know. Monique, my advice to you is the next time you appear before that coon Steve Harvey, take a brother with you to defend you. She didn't have a man there to defend her.
Her husband was there.
Well, he should have got on stage then, because I'd have came out the audience. If I'd been there. I'd have ran up on the stage like, wait a minute, brother. You be talking to my wife that way. What's wrong with you?
He was there.
Yeah, so that's sad. That's meritorious manumission. That's how they do it. Steve Harvey knew, I ain't about to have these white people mad at me because Monique up here telling the truth. Because she pulled his card. Remember, she said to him, Steve, you admitted to me that I was right. You admitted it. Oprah admitted it. Tyler Perry admitted it. But yet at the same time, they all abandoned her, right? In her plight. Meritorious manumission. You understand what I'm saying? Meritorious manumission. Sad. So sad. So sad. So yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is.
Oh gosh, this life, I tell you.
So that's definitely a question we never thought to ask. Because I don't know anything about that. I know it happens.
Right, I know it happens too. I guess we just didn't have a name for it.
We didn't have a name for it, and it's an official name.
It is. It's an official name.
Public policy.
So now that we even heard of it, I bet we'll probably see it and hear it more often now.
Well,
we'll probably come across it more than we ever have before.
Well, you know, Dr. Anderson dropped names. Let me read this again. He dropped titles, rather. He said meritorious manumission behavior is often observed, especially in the ranks of black elected officials, ministers, civil rights leaders, athletes, and entertainment personalities. All of those categories that he just listed, we all know those are a bunch of people who will not be on black people's side. Remember all the black ministers was right there with Trump, talking about Trump was the best president, you know what I mean, you know, that we've ever had. Meritorious manumission.
That's why Trump met with him.
Exactly, exactly. The slave master knows who his slaves are. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You know, he says these visible people anointed by others as leading blacks are sometimes aloof and disconnected from their own race. Absolutely. Disconnected from their own race. What's the Kamala running for president? Kamala. Whatever that devil's name is. Holding the state record in California for locking up black people. And then she went on the Breakfast Club talking about, I used to be in college. What she say, smoking weed and listening to Tupac and Biggie. And here she graduated from like graduate school or something in '86. Pac and Biggie didn't come out till '91. Meritorious manumission.
God. She just, it's just all set up anyway.
Yeah, it is. It always is.
It's all for a reason.
But you know me, I call a spade a spade.
It's all for a reason. Anything to keep us distracted.
Keep us distracted. That black woman gonna get in there and slay black people. She got a whole history of it. But I digress. All right, it says modern day black Americans remain highly sensitive to the fact that their ancestors were classified as 3/5 of a human being. Yeah, let's get into this. Let me bring you the question though. I'm putting the cart ahead of the horse here. All right, next questions. Why were black slaves classified as 3/5 of a human? Now, I think we've all heard that before, right? Black people have heard that we're classified as 3/5 of a human.
Yes.
So let's read on. He says blacks were classified as 3/5 of a human to settle a battle between northern and southern legislatures over the rights of the states and the status of slaves as property. So this was about us being listed as property. In 1820, slaveholders wanted to bring Missouri into the Union as a slaveholding state. Northern legislators feared that if Missouri entered as a slaveholding state with a significantly large number of slaves, the southern states could outnumber the northern states in congressional representation and taxation based on property wealth. The southern states had the lion's share of the nation's slave population, which was legally classified as personal property equal to the field animals. Okay, so let's just stop right there. Slaves were classified as personal property, like field animals. It's an important note to remember. Southern slaveholders opposed paying assets and property taxes on black slaves. However, when it came to counting state voting populations to determine the state's number of representatives in the Congressional and Electoral College, slaveholders demanded that their slaves be counted as human voters, even though they were not permitted to vote. The Missouri Compromise of 1820, consummated between the southern and northern states, granted several advantages to the South. The South would pay no property taxes on black slaves and could count them as 3/5 of a human being for voting in congressional representations. This 3/5 solution was a compromise so favorable to the South and granted the region so much political power that it dominated and controlled the U.S. Congress for nearly 2 centuries. Modern day black Americans remain highly sensitive to the fact that their ancestors were classified as only 3/5 of a human being. For black Americans, the 3/5 of a person's provision added insult to the injuries that 360 years of enslavement as field animals had inflicted them. So this is the 3/5 of a human thing, which, by the way, still exists in the Constitution right now. they did not amend that.
Right.
Yeah, why is that? See how that works? This is all their political jargon. You're not even considered to be a full-blooded human. And this was all about trying to get their political gain on a certain level. Copy. That's terrible. What did you know about 3/5 of a human before this?
Pretty much what you said. What you read, I've read it before. I just couldn't remember. But as you was reading it, it was coming to light.
This was all about wanting the slaves to be counted for the votes, but not wanting them to be counted when it came to paying property taxes.
Right.
Because you were listed as property. So it was like when it came to being listed as property, it's like you can't count them, they're slaves.
Right.
But then when it came to voting, it was like, well, our slaves should get to count for the vote. So typical. I'll read a comment. Mr. Lisha Johnson says, that's when people say they have 2.5 kids because they're including the dogs as a half. I believe that. I did not know that. I always wondered what that half part was, but I did not know that. Wow. Interesting. So this is why I think his book is so important, because this man has been a part of the political process in the U.S. for the past 40 years. He really knows some good stuff. But we're going to take another break. Stay with us. Black by the Man Radio Show. We will return. Meritorious Manumission.
We're rewarding you if there's something you already do. Listening to us. It's Radio Loyalty, and it's an easy way for you to get free stuff. All you do is sign up. Go ahead and click the banner now. You'll earn points as you listen. Points you can trade in for great products and services in the Radio Loyalty store. You can earn even more points when you share your favorite station with friends on Facebook and Twitter. Radio Loyalty. It's free to sign up, so click the banner to join now.
Take a minute and listen to this flashback of the Artist Exchange Radio Show.
Any trouble, because I get into any trouble, but I had a problem that this then became a discussion at that workplace environment. Now, the discussion was I should have been more sensitive. In what way was my first response? And I guess when I had to meet with that said person who had the issue with the person who was said leader of that organization, I said, well, to that person, how would I have known that? Well, you should have asked.
Long live Pop. Y'all can go ahead and cry now. I'm gonna show these niggas what to do at one of your beats, man. I am Gas, by the way. Strong woman story should have been on CNN. Nobody knows what it's like being Gwen. Windows closed in the house, it ain't no CNN. Can't gain weight for years, she been being thin. Single mother, no help from the system. When they was giving out food stamps, she missed them. Birth certificate, baby daddy, she couldn't list them. But her son was so beautiful when she kissed him. Blame it on love, but nigga she could've died with. Destroyed the whole world and found out she was a side chick. The nigga loved his wife and it got hard to hide it. So when Gwen confronted him, he ain't even denied it. Her fault, depends on who you asking. She tried to be a stripper, but the tip out was taxing. Buying all the purses, trying to keep up with the fashion. And her mama hated babysitting with a passion. She deserved better, better circumstances. A black queen, she should have been blessed with certain chances. Looked down upon, getting all the hurting glances. Making men change up all the twerking stances. She never cried about the pain, only gritted her teeth. But most soldiers never get a flower or a wreath. She like G.I. Jane in the war with no relief. Don't recognize why killers was going through her beef. She said more prayers than the nun did. After seeing so much struggles with only one kid, the clinic said baby number 2 couldn't be undid. 9 months later, delivery and it's one big. But this time it was an older dude. But this shit happened so fast, she barely know the dude. Damn, but we all make mistakes though. And the older we get, that's how mistakes go. So he claimed the baby, now with no money. He said shit was hard and his dollars was kinda funny. Gwen was feeling like that was strike 2. So when it rains and pours, that's just how life do. She was thinking about her childhood and how life flew. Her daddy she always loved, but she never quite knew. This was before the bags and the cellulite grew. Other bitches in her shoe, no telling what they might do. You lose a lot of friends, they start to despite you. Passing judgment when they don't got the right to. And even though I love the gangsters, the same for the gangsters. I remember you no matter how big the fame gets. Paint a perfect picture, baby, you can frame this. As long as I'm snapping, you will never be nameless. While I was robbing, you did things that was shameless. Both products of our environment, we was blameless. They deserve better, those women who raised men, who went out of town with us in that day's end. The ones we leave on the streets when them days in. Got slammed right with us when the feds blaze in. Not only men is going through it on the wild turf, but the women too. Add that to the childbirth, kids raising kids.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Black Body Man Radio Show. We are talking Black History for Black History Month, and we are going over Dr. Claude Anderson's Black History Reader, 101 Questions You Never Thought to Ask. So we was going over, what, 3/5 of a human. And this was based on being labeled as property as well as voting. So they wanted you to be counted for the vote, but they didn't want you to be counted for the taxes. So they listed us as 3/5 of a human, I guess so they could find a happy medium. You know what I mean?
And you said today we're still listed that way.
Yes, absolutely. You know, which I think plays a part into why we don't get the particular type of justice when we have injustices brought against us. You know, are you even listed as a real citizen? Or are you just listed as 3/5 of a human and property? So it would make sense if you're listed as property and not really a human, even though you have the illusion that you're listed as a human or a citizen. But then when you go to court, you find out you might not be listed as such. When you see these police officers killing black people and never getting in trouble, maybe you wasn't listed as a human.
I mean, obviously, that's what folks sees us as anyway. I mean, just look at how black folks are treated.
Absolutely. So it's definitely something to this.
So there are still folks who knows this, because there's no way we could be treated this way
legally, right? Exactly. And get away with it.
And get away.
So it's something evident in their legal loopholes that we don't know about that they do. And that's why, at least one reason why we're not getting the proper type of justice.
It has to be. How can 3 cops stand over a guy and unload their weapon on him? And that's okay. That could be considered justifiable.
Right. Yeah, they justify everything.
Obviously, they know we are listed.
Right. 3/5 of a human.
Yes.
But they definitely know that we're not aware of all the trickery that they've used when they write their constitutions, when they write their policies, their laws. They use a lot of wording. Words are important, you know, and the English language is very complex. It's my understanding that it's one of the most complex languages to learn, which I can imagine, because how do you explain the difference, just off the top of my head, to someone who doesn't understand English, right? How do you explain the difference between read and read? You know what I mean? Right. Spelled exactly the same way.
Right.
So it seems like the English language got a lot of tricky stuff on how you apply the words. The proof of that is when you read a contract. When you read a contract, no matter what that contract is, it's like a foreign language. What are these words, right? What does this mean? Which is why they tell you get a lawyer, you know, to read over it, which is also why they tell you, as far as court appearances, keep your mouth shut. Don't say nothing.
Absolutely.
These people are trained in words. They're going to hit you with certain words that you ain't going to understand, and then they're going to have you saying certain words that you don't understand the true meaning of, and they do. And they'll take that and flip it on to you. Yeah, but you said this, you know, you said that, you know, like it's a very, very dangerous game.
That's terrible.
But we'll keep it moving. On to the next question. We do this question in honor of Floyd Mayweather. Why was it a criminal offense to teach black people to read and write? I don't know, Floyd, why was it? I'm firing shots at him.
Floyd really upset somebody.
Can't stand that dude, man. All right, so let me read. The European colonists opposed educating black people because they knew that educated blacks, like educated whites, would not tolerate being enslaved. brutalized, and exploited. An educated black would fight back or revolt. Whites knew the best way to protect their financial investment and their lives was to impose ignorance on blacks. They therefore instituted public policies that stipulated that any white person caught teaching a black person to read and write would be fined $100 and suffer 39 lashes of the whip. Woo! Later, there are numerous recorded instances where blacks were lynched for carrying a book or newspaper, especially in the South. Teaching people to read and write was a come only when it applied to educating blacks. Schools were established and operated by immigrants and American Indians, making blacks the only people for centuries who were subjected to imposed ignorance. The last thing white America, and especially the South, needs were black slaves capable of reading, writing, and challenging the nation's socioeconomic system. Whites in the North harbored the same fears as the Southern counterparts, and education for the majority of blacks in the country was nearly non-existent as a matter of practice. In the North, in schools, it was the practice, if not the law, and segregation in the South, however, was both law and practice. The law was clear. It was educating or teaching slaves to read or write. White Southerners believed that educating or teaching slaves to read or write only ruined them as laborers. Prevailing sentiment in the South was that whites had the responsibility to take every measure possible to ensure that no light ever entered the brain of a black person.
So with saying that, right, why would you think for a second then they're going to teach us anything we need to know in school?
Copy. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Just by saying that.
Right.
That just blows your mind right there.
It also lends credibility to why, to this very day, there are many of white people who are not comfortable with educated black people. That's their worst nightmare. You get what I mean? You know, now the thing is, the nightmare for them is not just an educated black person, because that can sometimes benefit them. It's an educated black person who also has a black education.
Right.
Got their formal education, got their masters from wherever, but then they also got a conscious education as being a black person. Now that is a threat. You get what I'm saying? That's a threat, because that's a black person that not only knows the bigotry and racism you're bringing against them, but they also have the education on how to counter it properly using their techniques, using their rules and regulations.
Exactly.
Right. So they've always been against us learning to read and write, which is why Floyd doesn't have any problems. See, he's no threat. Can't even read. He's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. So I want to focus on this white part. I mean, this white part, right?
This one part?
Yeah, this one part, right? It said they instituted public policies that stipulated any white person caught teaching a black person to read or write would be fined $100 and suffer 39 lashes of the whip. Now that ought to show you just how serious they was about it. They was willing to beat white people.
39 lashes.
39 lashes with the whip. Catch you out here trying to teach these slaves, and we're going to treat you accordingly. Stay with us. We up on break. We'll be back. Black by the Man Radio Show.
Jacqueline. Yes, Mom? I wanted to talk to you about something, and... Oh, wait. Hold on. I just got a text. Oh, there's